This is going to be one interesting video. You guys have probably heard of Soulja Boy, and if you haven't, then I'll give you a quick refresher. He is the Chicago-born rapper who specialized and had a lot of chart-topping pop rap and southern hip-hop hits such as Crank That, Yaw, and Kiss Me Through the Phone. Personally, Soulja Boy made middle and elementary school, and excuse me for using this language in 2018, lit. When my 11-year-old brain heard the at dances and events, I knew it was about to get hype. Needless to say, Soulja Boy has not been in the spotlight for quite some time, until recently, and that's specifically because of these boys right here. Soulja Boy's own game consoles. It's been getting a lot of flack lately. Now, it's not odd at all for a rapper or any kind of music artist to start their own business venture. We've seen it before with Jay-Z and Rockaware, with Dr. Dre and Beats Audio, and also with 50 Cent and Vitamin Water. It's not foreign at all. And I actually kind of applaud Soulja Boy for taking the initiative and trying to make something out of his own brand. The issue is he kind of chose a market that's not cut out for beginners. Clothing, energy drinks, even audio devices, they're all very saturated markets where if you have the proper funding, the proper backing, and the proper brand, like Jay-Z, 50 Cent, and Dre had before they even got into the business, then you can do pretty well if you play your cards right. You can have success without investing too many resources, specifically because there are so many competitors, so many options to choose from. The console market, though, doesn't really work that way. We've seen failed console endeavors before. The Ouya or Yuya, however you pronounce it, flopped terribly once it made it to the market, and the Atari VCS has been delayed several different times and may not even make it to shelves. In the console market, you're competing against big dogs like Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft, and now that mobile gaming is making a splash as well, you also have Apple and a lot of Android device manufacturers. The odds are stacked against you. But Soulja Boy, man, he's one smart cookie. He basically said, you know, consoles sell really well. I don't have the resources to make my own console, so I'm going to just take a Chinese knockoff and rebrand it as my own console. That's exactly what he did. The two consoles that I have today, Soulja's Game console and the SouljaGame Handheld, for $150 and about $100 respectively, are all made by a Chinese retro gaming company called Anbernic. I mean, Soulja Boy doesn't even try to hide it. It's very clearly labeled on his website, so this could have been a collaboration or a cooperation type deal. I was planning on ordering these consoles straight from Soulja Boy's website, but I decided to save some cash because, one, it's half price on Anbernic's website or on AliExpress or on Amazon, though I believe the listing has been taken down now. And two, Soulja Boy's website still kind of sketches me out. For instance, Soulja Boy's page does have a ask a question chat, which I try to use, but your questions go directly to Soulja Boy's Facebook page Messenger. I highly doubt my questions about return policies or warranties will be read, let alone looked at, so I decided to skip the headache and just order it straight from the manufacturer themselves. Now that I have the consoles, let's talk about first impressions. First thing that I noticed, these consoles are insanely light. They're probably not much heavier than the combined weight of two modern smartphones. That's not a good sign for electronics, but considering these are essentially retro consoles, I can give some grace. The console comes with two USB controllers that aren't too bad. They're very similar to the original PS2 controllers with two extra buttons. The quality is obviously cheaper, and the buttons are stickier and the joysticks aren't as smooth as the original PS2 ones, but overall, it's not bad, but it's not good either. It comes with an HDMI and AV TV cable for all of you guys who still have older TVs. The box runs on a Linux 3.0 kernel and comes with over 800 pre-installed games ranging from PS1 to NES that fit on the 32GB TF card that the console comes with. Now, how this is legal, I don't think it is, but enough about that. Let's just go into the gaming experience on these guys. Let's do this. So when you turn on the console, you're greeted with a pretty ugly UI in all honesty. It's simple, it's intuitive, so anybody can use it, but it just doesn't look good. And on that UI, you have all of the different types of games you can play, which is a lot. The console comes with over 800 games, so around 843, I believe, and a lot of them are classics. They have your standard Mario, your Zeldas, they have your Super Metroids, your Contras, they have your NBA Jams, your Punch-Outs, a ton of different types of games. It also comes with PS1 games. Well, a PS1 game, it's pretty basic, but still, it's nice to have. And you can always load up more games onto the 32 gigabyte card that it comes with. Honestly, I had a good time playing on the console. Me and my little brothers shared a ton of memories playing video games growing up, and this brought a lot of them back. It was an overall great experience, and we didn't even realize that we were playing on such a cheap Chinese copy of the original consoles back in the day. Now, this begs the question, is the Soulja Boy console worth the 150 bucks that Soulja Boy is asking for? Definitely not. Is it worth the $80 to $90 that you can get from the seller originally? I would say so myself. If you think about it, the Super Nintendo Classic goes for like $80. That comes with a few games. The PlayStation Classic goes for like 90 to 100 bucks. That comes with like 20 games. You're basically getting both of those combined in this $80 machine. And in that regard, it's pretty good. On top of that, it comes with 2 controllers. And although the controllers are a little bit mushy and sticky, like I've already mentioned, they're totally fine. And after you get used to them, you get over that little learning hump, it's really not that bad. Of course, you can always build this yourself by going the Raspberry Pi option, getting yourself a case and a few controllers, and it'll be a little bit cheaper than this emulation box. But if you want more of a plug and play solution, you take it out of the box, you plug it in, and it just works, then honestly, if Soulja Boy cut down the price, it wouldn't be that hard to recommend. With all of that being said, let's take a look at the SouljaGame Handheld and go from there. The SouljaGame Handheld is actually about the same weight as the SouljaGame console, and I don't know if I should be horrified over what's inside of the console or be glad that my $60 handheld device has around the same build quality as an $80 to $90 console. The screen is only about 3 inches across the diagonal, and the buttons are pretty mushy. They're responsive, but they're not the best feeling buttons out there. You can also tell that the handheld device takes major inspiration from the Game Boy Advance. The designs are very similar. Bonus, it comes with a headphone jack. You don't see a lot of those nowadays. You get a TV, AV cable, and micro USB adapter for charging. Similar to the console, it comes with a pre-installed TF card that has 3,000 games built in. Not bad at all, honestly. You insert the TF card into a removable cartridge, which I found pretty dang cool. It reminds me of when I used my Game Boy Advance, and it's definitely a nod towards the cartridge usage on the older Game Boy devices. The UI is slightly different from the console one. You instead have something that's more reminiscent of PlayStation's older UI, which I found interesting. It does lack the PS1 emulator that the home console has, but it does support everything else. It just has more games built in. Gaming on the handheld device was honestly okay. You're not going to get the same finesse or smoothness that you get with the original Game Boy Advance, Nintendo handhelds, or a Sony handheld like a PSP. But again, you can't really expect that from such a cheap device that is meant to work with pretty much every single console pre-2003. During my gaming experience on the handheld device, the only issue I had was the sound delay. Now, the sound quality itself was pretty crummy, but again, if you keep your standards pretty fair, then it's perfectly fine for a $60 device. It was loud, but the sound delay was bad. I got up to half a second to a full second of sound delay when I was playing pretty much any game in the list. This can be a deal breaker for some, especially for games where sound is very important. Half second to a full second could honestly make or break a battle, a fight, or anything else. Minor nuisances include the volume rocker. It's cheaply made and it's so far indented into the handheld device that it makes it hard to actually change the volume, and the volume doesn't update on screen. And lastly, the battery life is subpar. You get about 2 to 4 hours depending on which game you're playing and the volume options that you choose. That's pretty bad, considering that a Nintendo DS Lite and Nintendo DS you can get anywhere from 5 to 8, 10 hours, and that came out so long ago. 2 to 4 hours is almost inexcusable. The device, funny enough, also just doesn't play games. You can also play music, watch videos, browse documents, and look at pictures. Why you would want to do this on a device with a 3-inch screen is beyond me, but hey, more features, I can never knock that. Now, I wouldn't recommend the Soulja Boy handheld at the price that Soulja Boy is asking for it, around $100. At the price of $50 to $60 that you can get from Anbernic themselves, it could be worth it. I personally think it's harder to recommend this handheld device over the home console because of the battery life and the sound delay issue, but when it comes to its raw gaming value, it's pretty high. In all honesty, instead, I think getting an old PSP and unlocking it or rooting it and installing the games that you want to play, because a PSP can play all of these games, is a better option, even if it does take a little bit more extra elbow work from your end. Overall, Soulja Boy's consoles have a lot of raw gaming value, even though they are cheaply made, if you don't buy them from Soulja Boy, which almost defeats the purpose of him selling the consoles in the first place. I think the flack that Soulja Boy gets from these are, one, he's selling a rebranded cheap product, and two, it's overpriced, which I understand the price that he has. If he wants to meet margins, make profit, he has to up the price. But from a buyer standpoint, it's a no. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like. If you loved it, share, subscribe, all of that stuff. Soulja Boy, if you happen to be watching this video, I'm rooting for you, dude, but you might want to try something else. Consoles are just kind of hard, man. You know, there are other options like vitamin water. Make, I don't know, mineral water. No, that's already made. I don't know, maybe vegan water? Try vegan water. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.